have a poet joining me this evening. He goes by the name of D.S. Will. He's a poet, an MC, a host, film critic, founder of Press Play Poets. How you doing?
Peace, Queen. How are you doing?
I'm doing really? All right. Really doing all right? I mean, you know, angry, tired, trying to push through. It's pretty much how I've been trying to get through this. Having conversations with my close friends about things has been really helping as well. What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining us tonight on Bliss Talk. Like I said, we got D.S. Wills in the house tonight, poet, MC, host, film critic, founder of Press Play Poets, and we're going to talk through some things tonight. We're going to talk through some serious things tonight. I hope you're ready for it.
Absolutely. I've been waiting all day for this dialogue, and I want to appreciate you for having this platform for us to be able to express ourselves, especially during this time.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The first thing I want to touch on with you tonight, I wanted to get your feedback on how we can do our part in regards to deciphering the narratives versus the truth, because we are seeing on the media outlets where they are pushing certain narratives, and then we also want to be careful what we post as well, because posting false facts or fake news, so to speak, can be very damaging in this time. So what's your take on that?
Absolutely. That's a very interesting point that you bring up, because it is more vital than ever for us to be able to control our own narratives. We know that there are forces and there are media outlets that are trying to perpetuate certain images, certain concepts, certain institutions, and to leave those who are in the unknown to be able to formulate a false conception of what exactly is going on. Yeah. And it's very tempting in this day and age of the Me Too first. I'm able to post this first. This is breaking news, so on and so forth, before we even get the opportunity to check for truth and the veracity of it. And now more so than ever, it's very important for us to be able to check the resource and to check the facts, because these images are going to be the difference between individuals joining the fight or standing behind the battle lines as well. Right. Also, intentions. Intentions is something that's important. Why are we posting these things? Are we posting these things because we are trying to push a true narrative, or are we pushing it for publicity? Are we pushing it for likes? Are we pushing it for how individuals phrase it, clout nowadays? Yes. And intentions will eventually come to pass. Yeah. And that's why transparency is something that's also vital as well. And that's why I asked you, I said, how are you really doing? And then you gave it to me, unfiltered. And that type of communication is needed, because once we know the individuals who are truly our allies, we can start to push the proper narrative to create change.
I definitely agree with that. And it's funny that you said, you spoke about the question that you asked me in the beginning of our conversation, because I was going to bring that back up. You asking me that question, how I'm doing. I can almost tear up, because nobody's asked me how I'm doing from that aspect. You know, it's always been, you know, how are you doing? And then I'm trying to articulate how I'm doing, but you know, it's a reflection period when somebody asks you how you're doing, you know. My next question is, in what ways can we utilize our art platforms to spread light on what's going on?
Expression has always been the way to freedom. It is us exercising our right. It is us being able to translate what others can't see. You know, as an artist, you have the ability to see the intangible. You have a way of being able to transform it if the masses are able to consume it. So now is not the time to be silent about your artistic expression, because you are the voice for the jettisoned. You are the voice for the voiceless right now. And it's very interesting. There's a clip of a couple of brothers and sisters that was actually crumping, and people didn't understand, you know, why are you dancing, you know, during a protest? But that's our expression. That's our freedom. That's our way of being able to empower ourselves and others in that moment. When
Yeah.
you are trying to rip us of that expression, we are still going to dance. We are still going to write. We are still going to sing, no
I
matter what
appreciate
you
you.
put in front of us.
I appreciate you saying that, because a lot of people are taking the time to use their craft to speak up. I've seen poets, I've seen lyricists, I've seen singers posting their take on the situation in their art form and with their craft. And so I don't want to get into the idea that these are publicity stunts. This is literally, if you're an artist, this is literally how you channel your energy. This is something that we can't help but do during this time, because it's therapy to us. And if you see someone out there expressing themselves artistically, listen. You know, this is a very good time to listen. Or if you see an artist painting something, reflecting the times right now, this is, think about how they used to use art to reflect the times back in past time periods.
Absolutely.
You know, it's used to journalize what's going on right now. So appreciate the art, even if it's really hard for you to grasp uh, why people are using their art to speak right now.
True.
Especially also because art is, it's always been a frequency that defies language. Would you agree with that?
It's universal.
It's
You know,
universal.
especially when it comes to our artists, you know, when they travel overseas and you see a sea of folks reciting lyrics in a language that's foreign to them.
Right.
But it's the melodies, it's the message, it's the intention that they're able to translate and able to relate to. So you're absolutely right with that.
Oh yeah, I remember the first time where I went to African dance show, and the rhythms. It's something about that rhythm. You don't know why you want to get up and dance. You don't know what is all that about. Or think about when you heard a choir in church for the first time that was doing the daggone thing. You know? Yeah. Okay. It made you feel some type of way. So yes, speak on that. I want to thank everyone for showing up right now to the Bliss Talk and engaging with us tonight. Art Chronicles, Contemporary Issues and Struggles. Absolutely. Absolutely. I have my man DS Will 83 Poet MC host with me tonight, and we are discussing issues such as how can we decipher the narratives versus truth. We just talked about how we can utilize our art to spread light on what's going on right now. And the truth is, art is a universal language, and it's very useful in this time when we're trying to break through to other communities. The very next question that I have for you, how can we be a part of the solution and the conversation and the education?
I think one of the biggest first of all, shout out to everybody on the front lines. Definitely, it is a brave stance to take, an immense amount of courage and energy. So our prayers, our love, and light go out to them. But one of the biggest misconceptions is that if I'm not on the front line, then I'm not being proactive. Or question that burdens individuals is, how can I make a change? And this is where it comes to our strengths, our gifts that have been bestowed upon us. Utilizing those gifts to be able to spread that message. So if you are an artist, use your artistry to be able to spread that message. Because there may be individuals, it may not resonate the protesting, but your art may do it. Charity, charitable work, being a mentor so that you're grooming the next generation of leaders. These are all ways. Support someone else. Support another Black artist. Share an article. There are so many different ways of activism that we can utilize. But it's also up to us to be able to educate those individuals. Like, this is what you can do. You can be in your office and still be proactive towards the movement and still educate and still spread the knowledge and the message that's needed to create change.
Correct. And I am loving this breakthrough that we are having right now. All over the world right now, we have people, black or white or what in between, posting messages about Black Lives Matter. And when they post things of that nature, it triggers questions. You know, this is a great educational time. That's why I asked the question, how can we use this time to educate? You know, I personally don't have a problem when someone of a different race asks me a question about what's going on. But some people are offended by it because we've been talking about this for too long. It's both sides. It's always two sides of it. But what I would like to say is that I realize that we are all growing on different frequencies. We are all of different ages. We are all of different backgrounds. We are all of different communities. So for me, I'm always going to come from an educational point first. But if it gets ugly, it gets ugly. I don't know.
Time to scrap, too, I get you.
What's your point on that? Would you agree with that? What's your stance with that?
Our perception is based upon our experiences. You're absolutely right. Your experience may be completely different. What brought you to the stage? The key is to be able to have understanding, and it all goes back to intentions. Why are you asking me this? Are you asking me this because you really want to be enlightened and you want to be able to contribute to the cause? Or are you asking me this to patronize me? Or are you asking me this to infiltrate? Transparency, it all goes back to that, but it goes back to balance as well, because you were speaking about balance, about there's two sides of things.
Yeah. We
also can't operate on an overly skeptical mind, because we may be pushing away allies at the same time as well. So our guard is always like, what you doing, man? And we may be eliminating the opportunity to educate, the opportunity to gather someone into our fold and help them to be able to understand. Right. There's some individuals that don't encounter Blacks, African Americans ever. Their only window is through media, which goes back to why the narrative is so important. Right. So if your only interaction with us is that of thugs or entertainers, when you actually do approach someone in person, what does that dialect look like? What is that conversation like if they have no other reference? So we have to control what we can control, and it's that narrative. It's us putting out counter material and images to what the powers that be are trying to perpetuate.
Correct.
Because once the classes get together, think about it.
I want to read what Velvet Jones has posted here. She says,
"Now that's my man. That's my man. Jay
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm just reading the name, the usual name. He says, I agree 100. We also have to be willing to have uncomfortable conversations with people. We have been uncomfortable for so long until they feel the same level of discomfort that we feel, we won't be able to see eye to eye." You're 100% correct. You're 100% correct. Right now, I'm pretty sure it's very uncomfortable for white people or even some people of color that also may have grown up on a different frequency. It's taken years for us to wake up to the situation. Think about it. In my lifetime, I've never seen this many people in the streets ready to go. What's up? I got my mask, my goggles. What you trying to do today?
Since yesterday, not today. Since yesterday.
Correct. Yeah. So my next question for you was, you've been answering these questions so brilliantly. I really appreciate you, brother. We talked about being a part of the solution, a part of the conversation, and a part of the education. Taking this time to also educate others. This is a great opportunity to do that. Being a part of the solution. I don't know if we quite touched on that, but I think we did. I think you said you had a lot of good points about being a part of the solution. What I wanted to add to that was putting all of our eggs in different baskets right now. We all have different personalities, different And so what we can do right now is utilize, like you said, use your talents. If you're an artist, use that talent to shed light on what's going on. If you're more of a aggressor, you know, really stick it to the people, because you have that's your energy that you want, and I'm with it. I'm with it. If you are someone that practices strategy, we need you. We need you. We need your mind to guide us through it. The aggressors can protect us. And if you are someone with courage that's ready to speak what's on your mind, you don't have a filter, so to speak. You don't you're not holding your tongue for nobody. Speak. So what music, because I'm coming to the understanding that this is exhausting, and I'm a musician, and so I'm trying to think of different music I can play, or art I can look at for inspiration at this time.
Absolutely. So my favorite genre of music has always been jazz music. Jazz music is basically every musical genre that you can think of is borrowed from that particular genre of jazz. So I highly recommend Miles and Coltrane, and you know, I can message you particular songs as well, but Central Park West by John Coltrane is one of my favorite compositions, and his composition called Alabama was actually featured in Malcolm X during one of Malcolm's Denzel/Malcolm speeches, and it speaks to me so much during the time, even without lyrics or words. The melody and the feeling and the pain and the triumph is all there. It's the backdrop, it's the soundtrack of what we're going through right now. And as it relates to like your traditional lyricists, you know, I go to Nas, I go to Lupe Fiasco, I go to Roots, I go to Carmen, especially. I go to the storytellers, the individuals who are able to tap in, and then sometimes you got to tap into that rage. So I might put some MOP on, you know. I might want to hit you up a little bit. The thing is, we're going through an emotional roller coaster right now, so we need, just how we need different types of people with different strengths at different times. Your soundtrack is going to have to be varied to be able to go along with that emotional roller coaster that you're going through. So whatever's going to help you translate that and transfer that energy into something constructive, listen to it.
On our way to the protests, we were listening to Marvin Gaye. What album was that? Eli.
What's going on?
What's going on? And there was another song that we listened to too. What was that? In the City Blues.
Yeah.
I mean, when I
can't do it justice, but you have to move on.
It put us in the mood. And then also movies. We just got finished watching Django today. I'm not gonna say what my best friend said. I'm not gonna say what she said.
You know what movie really resonated with me right now, and it's a sign of the times, is Queen and Slim. Like, that is...
I mean, that movie did mess us up. When we went to go see that, when I tell you, we went in there excited to see this movie, was ready. And then when we left, we had went to go see our friends at a bar afterwards, but our energy was just totally off. They were like, what's wrong? And we said, listen, I cannot talk to you right now. I can't do it. I cannot talk to you right now.
I want to share something with you, sis. I just posted, Internet Movie Database had a link that they posted during Black History Month. It was a celebration of Black directors. And it's interesting you should mention movies. And it basically chronicles our history of movie making. So I want to share that with you.
Yes.
It starts from, Oscar in the beginning, all the way up to Barry Jenkins, and Ryan Coogler and them. So I know that you'll thoroughly enjoy it. That
was perfect for me to watch. I'm trying to because I got a lot going on right now, but I really want to be in tune with what's going on. I really want to educate myself on what's going on, because if we don't educate ourselves on what's going on, we cannot be a part of the solution or the conversation. You know, it's very difficult to have conversations if you don't know what's going on. And so I encourage people to do that. What is a way that you educate yourself? What devices or sources are you using other than the news?
We were always told that reading is fundamental. So basically being able to continually educate yourself on a day-to-day basis. But don't just read things that you agree with, read things that you disagree with as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's going to help you see things from different perspectives and also strengthen your arguments. And then supporting my folks. You know, I get educated by looking at platforms such as yourself. You know, you speaking with T. Walker, you know, LB the poet, you know, those folks. There's a humility that you have to have in order for you to learn. You can't think that you know everything, and you can't be threatened by people who know more than you. Because if you are, you're never going to progress.
This is absolutely true. Absolutely true. Tatiana says, such a good question. I've been struggling on what to listen to. Yes, me too. I want to, because normally in the mornings I wake up and I listen to something that it's upbeat so I can get ready to go. But that's not the energy I'm on right now. Do you guys have any recommendations on where to get reading material from? Ooh, that's a good question. I would like to ask you that question. Yeah.
Yes. I've been tapping into different favorites or book lists. So I know Barack has one that's out there. Funny you should mention that. I actually am going to be starting a book club. It's called the King's Court. And we're going to have our first session on the 19th of June. And the purpose of it is to gather kings, you know, Black males, African American males, so we can have a safe space to be able to express ourselves. And the book that we're going to be using is called the Black Male Handbook. So I definitely invite all the kings to come out there. We're not leaving out the queens on purpose, but we really want to be able to kind of create that space, because, you know, some brothers act differently. You know, when the queens are around, they feel like they have to put up this guard, so on and so forth. So we want to be able to put up a space. But that book, the Black Male Handbook, I recommend it for both men and women to read, because it's speaking about building up true masculinity. That's something that's lost upon them. And masculinity includes the treatment of our queens, our wives and our daughters and our mothers, so on and so forth. And we've lost that.
That's something that I was actually thinking about while I was in the shower today. This next generation, we have to, it's imperative that we teach them how to be a queen to a king and a king to a queen. Or I know I definitely support the LGBTQ community as well.
Yes.
How to be the right partner for each, you know? Yes. And what does that take? And we're definitely going to need our elders involved in that too, because I feel like we are lost out here in these streets. Some of us is doing all right, but some of us really need guidance as to what that looks like, as far as supporting each other and building a home, building a family, being the other half of a person, you know, where I can't, you can, and where you can, I might not be able to, but okay, because that's why we're together, you know. This is why we made a commitment to do this together. So perfect acknowledgement to that. As far as books goes, I know that me and my best friend, we were taking a look at what's her name? Ebony K. Williams. She is an attorney, and we were watching. She doesn't practice law anymore, but she does do a lot of social or TV work right now.
Okay.
But I've watched a couple of her interviews, and she was just really inspiring. As much like information that she was pouring out, but in a digestible way where I understood every word that she was saying, you know.
Mm-hmm.
She was giving it to us, you know, this information. And so she has a book out, and me and my best friend actually want to check that out. We haven't read it yet, but go check her out. Pretty powerful. So like you said, your book was for the kings. This one would be for the queen.
Right.
It's called Pretty Powerful, but we will definitely be checking out that book because I think we can really learn a lot from that sister. And her talking about her journey on this crazy road to success, man.
Yeah.
Being a woman, a Black woman. Before I close out, I just want to say thank you to everybody that joined us tonight. Just to give a recap, we talked about deciphering the narratives from the truth. We talked about utilizing our art platforms to spread light on what's going on. We talked about being a part of the solution, the conversation, and the education. We also talked about what music and art we can listen to at this time to inspire us. And I go by the name of Carmen Bliss. You guys can follow me at cbliss_pics. I post all of my inspiring interviews with every guest that I have on my IGTV, and also they are on YouTube. And also I have a website called blisstalkshow.life. 30-minute conversations. Before we close out, you guys, please type in some questions. We can take about 1 or 2 questions before we close out with Mr. DS Will. And while you guys are typing your questions, he is going to give us all of his social media information so we can support him.
Absolutely. So once again, Queen Bliss, thank you so much for having this platform, not just for myself, but for everyone to have the opportunity, especially during these times where we need an outlet, where we can be transparent, where we can feel comfortable being vulnerable. Thank you for being a leader in that regard. IG is DSWill83. Of course, you can also find me on Facebook at DSWill without the 83. As Queen Bliss mentioned, I'm also the founder of Press Play Poets. So you can find us on IG at Press Play Poets with a Z, as well on Facebook as well. So thank you.
Thank you, guys. I don't see any questions, so with
Your
that,
hot seat.
we'll give them like 5 or 10 more seconds. Maybe they're still trying to get it in there. I don't want to leave this conversation. It's been such a dope conversation, and I'm sure all 6 of our listeners tonight may have something they would like to say or speak on.
I think you did such a dope job at orchestrating the conversation that they don't even need to ask anything. You done covered.
Well,
Wrap.
thank you.
That's it.
It makes my heart smile. I don't have any questions, but thank you for sharing. Thank you, Tatiana. All right, guys. Well, that was Bliss Talk tonight. Make sure you guys share this conversation. It's in my IGTV. Make sure you guys are looking at the previous conversations. There's been so many gems in there. I have someone that's helping me out with this, and she's rewatching them, and she's just like, oh my gosh, like the people that I get to talk to every day. It's not me, it's them. You know, they have so many gems.
It's you. It's you.
They
You know, I mean, the conversation is 2 ways.
Yes.
And if it's not for you conducting it, then we can't drop the gems. It's a tennis match. It's going back and forth. So,
Right. Thank you so much, DS Will, and let's keep in touch.
absolutely. I'm going to send you those links too.
Okay, yes, please do. Bye, guys.
Peace.
Good night.